when I was about 16 or 17, I became actually interested in Islam and spent about a year exploring Islam. And part of that was my father teaching me how to pray. And so I remember getting up and going through a prayer ritual every day. And as a young man, that became rather burdensome. And so I basically gave up doing that. And later I became a Christian. And as I look back on my life, and particularly that experience exploring Islam, I realized that there is a big difference in how Muslims and Christians view prayer. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. Now, one of the things we can actually learn from our Muslim friends is their attitude towards prayer in one aspect is very reverential and very they approach it with a level of austerity. Because in order to pray, for example, there's 5 daily prayers a Muslim prays throughout the course of the day, ranging from the crack of dawn basically to before their head hits the pillow again at night, and in between. And they're a little different, but they're very ritualistic. They face Mecca. They get a prayer rug out, and that creates a sacred space for their prayer. They have to wash. That's called wudu, where they wash their hands from their tips to their fingers to their elbows and their knees to the bottoms of their feet. They'll wash their face. You have to approach God in a very pure way, focusing solely on the prayers and thinking about what you're going to be saying, and it's usually the same thing or slight variations throughout the day. And there are postures you take. You stand, you put your hands behind your ears, or you'll put your hands on your knees, or you'll prostrate yourself. Depending on what sect of Islam, there's some slight differences, but it's very ritualistic. But there's an austerity there. And the fact that they approach it that way should help Christians who have, I think, sometimes a little bit too cavalier of an attitude toward prayer, like they're talking to their buddies or something. There's an aspect of austerity that needs to happen there. But if you notice something, a Muslim approaches God in prayer, and he's got to be clean before he comes. Now that's fine and dandy to a certain degree, but at some level, see what it does? It suggests that in order to come before a God who cleanses us, we have to be clean first. We have to present ourselves as if we have done something for him. Whereas in Christianity, what tells us to pray without ceasing and to have this intimate relationship with God, that we come recognizing our filthiness and that he's the one who cleans us, and that prayer itself is a cleansing process. The communication is what cleanses us, not just the water and the postures and these kinds of things. So there's an austerity we need to learn from, but there's also a sense of intimacy that we can impart to our Muslim friends and say, when I pray, I do it this way. And it's not facing a certain direction or whatever it might have to be. It's an intimacy level, and it's a pureness of heart that I come to him with contrition, but also with a sense of intimacy that he is the one who hears my prayer. I don't do it out of fear or out of a sense of obligation. I do it because it's the communication. It fulfills my soul, and it is this communication with God that is specific and it's reverential, and it's intimate at the same time. So I think that's an important part of our interaction and discussion with our Muslim friends about what prayer actually is.
Now, it seems to me that there is a pretty profound connection between how we understand the concept of God and the practice and what we seek to accomplish through prayer. Mm-hmm. Is there not?
There is. When you look at, for example, what Muslims say during the prayers that are sort of the ritualized prayers. Now, there's 2 kinds of prayers in Islam. There is the regular 5 times a day prayers, and then there are prayers at different holidays for different things and that kind of thing. It's also something called dua, where you actually ask God for things, and you actually can say things that whatever's on your heart to God, about family, about yourself, about whatever it is. So there's a supplication that happens there, and it's a little more on the intimate side. Not quite as intimate as a Christian prayer, but it's still intimate. But we approach God with this sense of he's aloof. He is not interacting with us in an intimate way, and that's who God is. He does not condescend to